Let's talk to God. One more thing, like, subscribe, and share. Come on, let's talk to God. Woo!
Hey, good evening, everybody. How's everyone doing? Today is the 9th of April, and the month is moving right on. Can you all believe it? It's almost tax time. Let me just remind those of you who haven't quite filed your taxes yet and haven't done what you need to do. April 15th is not changing. It's right around the corner, so do what you need to do. Hey, listen, this broadcast is about inspiration. It's about motivation. It's about making sure that we challenge ourselves to show up the best version of ourselves, even in the worst of situations. When life happens, this is a conversation where we can just take, and hopefully it becomes second nature to us, where we make sure that we respond, because life is all about how you respond. The good choices, the consequences, the repercussions, all of those things are about how we respond. So thank you all for tuning in to this platform. This is the Let's Talk to Cutler YouTube channel, the platform, the virtual book club, all of that stuff. So come on in, make yourself comfortable, bring something to drink, bring your favorite beverage. If you brought snacks, make sure that you bring enough for everybody. Make sure that you bring enough to share. But we spend these 1,800 seconds just chit-chatting about life, real situations, and making sure, again, that we try to motivate each other. We try to inspire each other, and sometimes we try to challenge each other, because it's the challenges are really what cause us to grow. So I want to challenge us. I don't know about you all, but I always want to be in a state of continuous growth, continuous evolution, continuous responding and changing, and responding to the environment. So again, come right on in, invite someone to come on in, tell them, come on, let's talk to Cutler, because this evening we're going to talk about trusting your gut. What does that mean? Sometimes we talk about it and we call it this intuition that we have. And when I was growing up in the South, they would call it mother's wit or something like that. But again, I want to talk about trusting your gut. Really, I want to frame the conversation around believing in yourself, because I was reading something earlier today, and it really just sparked not my curiosity, but it got my thought patterns flowing. And I'll come back to it in just a moment. But before I do, I want to do a shout out to the LTTC VIPs, those who made their way on over to the chat room first. So a happy Tuesday to those of you who made your way over to the chat. Come on, I see some of you logging in, but come on over to the chat, say hi, make sure I can see you and know that you're here. But the first three people that I see on my end, you all, the first three people that I see are Annie Cutler, Queen Nita, and Tracy Johnson. Thank you all for being the first to hop over in the chat. I want to go back to this conversation, though, about trusting your gut, because a lot of times we run things past so many people. And I was thinking, what if we really didn't have a lot of people to run things past? What would we do? How would we handle those situations? And although we have great villages and support systems, sometimes they're not quite as accessible as we need or want them to be in any moment. It doesn't mean that there has been a failure in our support system. It doesn't mean that there has been a failure in our community. It means that sometimes they're not as available as we need them in a given moment. It's rare, but those moments do happen. And this quote sort of solidified what happens in those moments. It says, be sure to keep believing in yourself, no matter who you used to be, and no matter what mistakes you make in these present days. Let me read that again, you all. And this is going to create the backdrop for us talking about how to trust your gut. Be sure to keep believing in yourself. That's for those people. I just need to stop and pause. That's for those people who have stopped believing in themselves because of what people have said, because someone has been judgmental and someone has maybe been condemning and just very, what is the word I really want to use? It will come to me in just a moment. But when I think about people who have been condescending, that's the word that I'm thinking about. People have been condescending and judgmental and all those sorts of things. Sometimes it can mess with your psyche. It can mess with your ego. It messes with your self-esteem and all of that. So I want to remind those people who once believed in themselves and they stopped believing, resume. So for those of you, I don't want to just say, be sure to keep believing. I want to say, start back believing in yourself. Start back believing in yourself, because no one had the right to challenge your belief in yourself. No one had the right to cause you not to believe in yourself. So when you're around people who cause you not to believe in yourself, you have to ask yourself, are those the people that I need in my life? All right. You have to ask yourself, are those the people that I need in my life? People who cause you not to believe in yourself, people who cause you to question every single thing that you do. No, no, no. So for those of you who have stopped believing in yourself, my first admonition for you all is to resume believing in yourself. For those of you who are believing in yourself, keep believing in yourself. You are not your past. You are not any of your experiences. You are the sum total of what they made you, and you hopefully have learned the lessons that they taught you, because we learn more from our faults than we do our successes. Let me just say that. I think I said that last week, but I want to be very clear again. You learn more from your failures than you do your successes. So while there are people who are touting about a whole lot of successes that they had, and life has been wonderful and all those sorts of things, well, I applaud you all. I commend you. That's a wonderful thing. But for some of us, life hasn't always been that grand, and we've had a whole lot of failures. But may I say this to you? It's okay that you've had failures in your life, because we learn more from our failures than we do from our successes. So when people start bragging about their successes to you, you have to ask yourself, what has life really taught them? And keep on going. And just keep right on going. But again, be sure to keep believing in yourself, no matter who you used to be. And again, you have to say to people, you have to sometimes say to yourself, I'm not who I used to be. I'm not even who I used to be yesterday. That's why we talk about on this platform, this is about evolving and becoming better and moving to a space and a place that's called better. And better does not have to happen 5 years from now. It can happen 5 seconds from now. As a matter of fact, better happens right now, because I believe that it's possible. So because I believe better is possible, I'm on a trajectory. I'm on a continuum. I have this inertia whereby I'm moving to the space that's called better. I'm already there. I'm already there. So no matter who you used to be, keep believing in yourself. And no matter what mistakes you make in these present days, keep believing in yourself, because guess what? We're all going to make mistakes. None of us are infallible. None of us are perfect. None of us dot every I. None of us cross every T. Sometimes we try to cross I's and dot T's. So keep believing in yourself. And then I read that I'm going to share this with you. And I get back to trusting your gut, because again, I just want to create the backdrop for this conversation. Keep believing in yourself, because we believe what we tell ourselves. That's something that I read today. We believe what we tell ourselves. So there are some things that we ought to keep telling ourselves. We ought to keep telling ourselves that everything will work out. It's not going to be this way always. This too will pass. Things will get better. There are some things that you ought to keep telling yourself, because we really do believe what we tell ourselves over and over and over, because somehow it creates, it fuses to the core of who we are. When you keep telling yourself something, you believe it. It fuses to your momentum. It fuses to your soul, to your core. It fuses with your spirit, and you believe what you tell yourself. So you got to keep telling yourself everything will be okay. Everything will work out. It's not going to be like this always. You have to keep telling yourself that you are important, that you are of value, that you have substance in your life. You have to keep telling yourself that you are worthy of great things, that you are worthy of goodness, that you deserve peace, that you deserve joy, you deserve contentment, you deserve to be happy, you deserve victory, you deserve success. You have to tell yourself these things, because as long as you keep telling yourself, you will believe it. You have to keep telling yourself that you are lovable. Sometimes we look at ourselves because people have taught us, they messed us up as children. Some people, we got messed up as children, and they taught us that we didn't deserve to be loved, that we didn't deserve to be treated right. We didn't deserve to be treated fair. But you have to tell yourself, I'm lovable. I'm not so bad that I'm not a lovable person. You have to keep telling yourself. And sometimes we keep putting things off. Here's something else that we need to tell ourselves. Y'all, I'm going to talk about trusting your gut. I promise you, but I'm just sort of caught on this right now. One of the other things that we need to keep telling ourselves is that, listen, the time is now. I need to do this right now. I can't keep delaying. I cannot keep procrastinating. I need to make some decisions now. I have to take actions now. And the time is now. The time is now for me to deserve peace. Now is the time. Let's see, my pastor preached last week that you have choices between two P's. You can either praise God or right. There's some choices that we can make. There are some choices that we make, and so you have to tell you have to make a choice about what you're going to tell yourself. Thank you for that, Tracy. You have to make a choice even about what you're going to tell yourself. Am I going to tell myself that the time is now? The time is now for my happiness. The time is now for my success. The time is now for my victory. The time is now for my peace. The time is now for me to get up off the seat of do nothing and take an action. The time is now, because I can't put off until tomorrow for what I can do today. The time is now. You have to keep telling yourself again that this too will pass. It's not going to be this way always. And this is not as good as it gets. You have to keep telling yourself that. You have to keep telling yourself that you can be who you really are. I don't have to cower in fear. I don't have to walk around in self-doubt. I don't have to give in to the anxieties that I sometimes feel. I don't have to give in to any of those things. I don't have to be pessimistic. I can be an upbeat, optimistic, outgoing person. You have to tell yourself all of these things that you can be who you really are. I'm made in the image and the likeness of the Creator. That's who I am. I have the DNA of the Creator of the universe working down on the inside of me. I can be who I really am. You have to tell yourself the best is yet to come. I haven't seen my best days. The best is yet to come. That's why we're on this trajectory of this thing that is called better. You can tell yourself that you are strong. I'm not a weakling. I am strong. I can do this. There's some things that we just need to tell ourselves. And then not only must we believe, and not only must we tell ourselves this, but we must believe the things that we tell ourselves. And that is where we get all of that against the backdrop of the conversation that now says, trust your gut. Learn how to trust your gut. Some of us don't trust our instincts enough. Some of us don't trust our intuition enough. Color, what are you talking about? Because a lot of times we say, oh, I got 5 senses, 5 good senses. And we're really talking about the sense of sight and smell and taste and touch and hearing and all of those things. But that's what we're talking about. But there is the 6th sense that is called the 6th sense, and it is called tuition. Sometimes it's just called a gut feeling. Have you ever heard people say sometimes, oh, I just have a feeling? And you have to go, and sometimes you just have to say, you know what, let me go with that. Let me just go with that. Because when you learn to go with your intuition, there's some benefits that come along with that. And one of the things that can help you do this is to make sure that you know the difference between your gut feeling and fear. So make sure that you're not moving in fear, but make sure that you're moving in something where you have a good positive vibe that this is going to work out. I'm going to be okay. I'll be all right. Fear means that you have doubt about it, that you have anxiety about what's going on. But the gut feeling says, I have a confidence that what I'm about to do, what I'm about to undertake, is going to work out for my good. That's what a gut feeling is. Fear is, I'm not so sure. So you don't want to move in fear, but you want to move in that gut instinct. So learn to trust your gut. Know the difference between a gut feeling and fear. And then just to be on the safe side, if you don't really like to take a whole lot of risks, make sure if you're going to trust your gut, then you can take small steps. You don't have to just leap off the top of a building, but you can make small decisions. But at least learn how to make choices and trust your gut, trust your instinct, because again, you may not always have every member of your village or every member of your community at your disposal at the time. And sometimes when you have the opportunity to test your choices, just something I read says, sometimes just take your choices out for a test drive. Let me see how it's going to work in this environment. Let me see how it's going to work against this platform. Let me see how it's going to work in this setting. Let me just take it out for a test drive before I fully execute it. I got some choices that I can make, but let me see how it's going to work in this environment first. Let me just kind of test it out. And then you just kind of go with it. This is how you learn to use your gut feeling. Know the difference between your gut feeling and fear. Yes. Make some small decisions first. Don't just leap off a building. And then take some of your choices out for a test drive and see how they're going to work. And then here's something else that you want to do. Make sure that you are clear about whether or not something is a snap judgment. How good am I at making decisions on the spot? Let me see. So put yourself in an environment, or have someone else to put you in an environment and see how good you are at making a snap judgment decision. And then you learn from that. You learn from that. Because when you trust your intuition, when you trust your gut, when you trust your gut, you learn how to stay in touch with yourself. You learn how to stay in touch with yourself, because if you don't pay attention to your gut feeling, you stop being able to really recognize the signs that can guide you to the right decision. Think about it. You no longer trust your intuition. You no longer trust your instinct. You no longer trust your gut. You lose sight. You lose experience with that feeling that helps guide you to the right decision. It becomes foreign to you. So when you have something inside working that tells you this is what you need to do, when you're no longer in touch with that, you sort of lose yourself. And that's something you don't want to do. We are created to respond to creation every day. And we have physical signs, we have emotional signs, we have psychological signs that tell us how to do that. But when we don't trust our intuition, we lose sight of how to do it. Again, when you don't trust your gut, you run the risk of not knowing how to handle risk. I know that was deep for some people. When you don't trust your gut, you run the risk of not knowing how to handle risks. What do I mean? You end up relying on other people. You rely on other people's opinion about your ability to do something, how you can achieve something, how you go about executing something. You rely on other people, and you don't really know how to manage the risk of doing it on your own. Because one of the things that I had to learn when life happened, I would say, why not me? Why can't I do this? Why can't I take a chance? Why can't I take a risk? What am I saying? You forget or you don't learn how to take a risk and how to manage the risk. I'm telling you, rely on your gut feeling and don't necessarily rely on other people's opinion all the time, their opinion of your ability in terms of what you can do. No. Because they may be naysayers. They may never believe in you. Our conversation tonight is about you believing in yourself, you trusting your gut, saying, you know what, even if it's a risk, I'll take a risk in myself. I'll take a chance at what I want to do. Okay, call it a risk if you want, but I'm worthy of the risk that I'm going to take. So why not me? When you don't trust your gut, you endanger yourself. You put yourself in jeopardy of not doing anything. Because if you are unsure about what decision you should make, you won't make a decision. You just won't trust your gut and you won't do anything. Because I'm telling you, it can be confusing. It can be stressful. And if you're not careful, you end up procrastinating. You end up never doing anything. You have to remember that making the decision to do is important. Whatever the outcome is, making the decision to do it is what is important. And when you make that decision to do, you tell yourself, I can handle the outcome. I can handle the outcome. Let's see. Yeah, that is a good point. I see y'all are chatting about Tracy's comment. Good point. Yeah. Let's see. Trust yourself and your own gut feelings. We Marissa, we have to do that. because we don't always have people around us, and that's really what I'm trying to get at tonight. You don't always have people around you, but you have something down on the inside of you that says, listen, I'm equipped for this. I can handle this. I can make it through this. I can navigate through this. I can navigate around this. I'm strong enough to bear whatever this weight is. I can carry this load. I can manage this burden. I'm just trying to get us to see that if you trust your gut, you can handle what life throws your way. Yeah, we used to hear things like when life throws you lemons, make lemonade. Well, sometimes when life throws you lemons, you just duck and keep on walking. Because maybe that's what your gut instinct tells you to do. Let me just duck and keep on walking. Maybe somebody else's gut instinct says, let me catch this and make it work together for my good. Maybe somebody else says, oh, let me examine it while it comes by so I can see what it is. And maybe I can create that thing. I can create a way to just counteract it. So learn to create, learn to follow your gut, to trust your gut. It's about the thing inside of you. It is this intangible makeup. You can't put your hands on it. You can't feel it. That is why it's called intuition. That is why it's called a gut feeling. Let's learn how to trust it. But I'm creating a space whereby we see, okay, let me just test it out. Let me just try it. Let me not just give up on it, but there's some things that I have to trust. Because the more you trust your gut, the bigger your self-esteem becomes. Because how many of us know that there are people who would just try to chip at your self-esteem at all cost? They'll chip at your diamond just to make their cheap rocks look valuable. Here you are, a full-fledged diamond, and they're just a granite sandstone, but they'll chip at you, and they'll cause you not to trust your gut. They'll cause you not to trust your intuition, and it affects your self-esteem. It sends a message to your brain when that happens that you're not good enough. But I speak against every ideology, every person, every thought that has come to tell you that you are not good enough. You're good enough to trust yourself. You're good enough to trust your instincts. You're good enough to trust your intuition. Your opinions are as valuable as anybody else's. And sometimes people will try to invalidate you. I just need to talk about that again for just a moment, but nobody gets to invalidate you except for the one who created you. And stop looking for people's validation. Stop looking for people's validation, because they don't get to validate or invalidate you. They can affirm who you are, but they don't get to invalidate you. They don't get to rip away at your self-esteem. They don't get to tell you not to trust yourself. They don't get to tell you that you are not good enough. They don't get to tell you that your opinion does not matter, because you do matter. You are good enough. Your opinion is just as valuable as anyone else's. So yeah, there are times when you trust your gut. Some people will say, well, what is your authority for that? You say, I don't have any authority, but I have a feeling this time. I have so many older people in my life. Some of them are no longer here. But one of the things that I learned from them, they taught me, trust what you feel on the inside. You may not have any codified or canonized authority. You may not be able to pull a book that tells you this is the regulation, this is the law, this is what you do. But sometimes down in the inside, you know what's right. You know what's right for you. You know what is appropriate. You know what the situation calls for. Learn how to trust that sometimes. Tracy, I love that. Trusting yourself this time will possibly make it easier for the next decision. I challenge us this week, you all, as this week presents opportunities. As this week presents opportunities, I challenge us to trust ourselves without sometimes relying on other people's opinions. I trust us this week And I hope that opportunities will come where we can apply this conversation and we get a chance to say, you know what? We talked about that with Cutler. Sometimes you just got to go with what you know. Other times you have to go with what you feel. That is the part of our makeup that I want us not to ignore. Sometimes my degrees don't get me an answer. Sometimes my village doesn't get me an answer. Sometimes my people don't get me an answer. And I just have to go with what I feel. And I may initially think that it's not going to serve me best, but I stand on the foundation that because of who I am and because of whose I am, every time I follow my gut, every time I trust my gut, it doesn't matter what people think of it. Because of who I am and whose I am, I stand on the foundation that all things work together for my good. And so don't let people affect your ability to make a decision in hard times and harsh times and difficult times and challenging times. Make the decision and trust that all things will work together for your good because of who you are and because of whose you are. I want to say thank you for allowing me to come into whatever space you've allowed me to come into this evening. Again, trust your gut. This is just one of those intangible feelings sometimes, these conversations that we just need to be reminded of. Of course, sometimes I know that I'm an old soul. So this is the old soul that is pouring out of me that says, no. You're not always going to see it in black and white. Sometimes you just got to go with what you know. Sometimes you got to go with what you feel. And that's what I want to remind us of this evening. Believe in yourself and go with what you know. Go with what you feel and keep believing in yourself and keep telling yourself various things that are positive about yourself. Keep believing and keep telling yourself various things that are positive and trust your gut and go with what you feel. Hey, you all listen, thank you for these 1800 seconds. Do me a favor. Let's keep building a community. Let's keep maintaining connectivity. Stay safe. Yes, stay safe and stay sane because there are diseases out there. Don't let people run you crazy. And until the next time, tell somebody to come on, let's talk to Cutler and go and tell somebody this week, hey, look, trust your gut. I'll see you all the next time I see you. Know that from my heart to yours, there is and always will be much love. Good night.